Good evening and welcome to Sporlitics, where sports and politics mix and mingle. Johnson joining me tonight is Aguna, the Nigerian moderate Republican, Keith, the constitutional conservative, Stephen, the independent thinker, and my cousin Todd. Oh my goodness, we've got a full show for you. In Philadelphia today, President Biden said that the MAGA GOP will get rid of Social Security and Medicare, the same things that you paid into your entire life. 1 week ago, Stephen Curry scored 43 points against the Celtics to even the series. The other night, the Warriors beat the Celtics to lead the series 3-2. We'll talk about that. Currently, the January 6th committee looks divided. We'll tell you why. Daniel Suarez wins for the first time at Sonoma. Stephen will tell us all about that and NASCAR. Did you know? I don't know if you knew, but I knew yesterday that it was a really, really, really bad day for the stock market. The stock market demanded that the federal government take action to control inflation. We will talk about how to prepare for a recession if we, unfortunately, have one. According to CNN.com, the House voted 396 to 27 on Tuesday, today, to pass a bill extending security protections to Supreme Court justices' immediate family members. The bill, the Supreme Court Police Parity Act of 2022, will now be sent to President Joe Biden's desk to be signed into law. It was introduced by Republican Senator John Cornyn of Texas and passed the Senate in May. Gas prices for automobiles continue to remain high. We'll talk again about how much you're paying, and I'm paying, and Todd's paying, and Aguna's paying, and Stephen's paying, and Keith is paying at the pump. Tell us how much you're paying at the pump if you just want to text us in the chat during this. President Biden is going to Saudi Arabia in July to get help for more oil. If you are a U.S. citizen that is entitled to vote and you live in either Nevada, South Carolina, Maine, or North Dakota, we hope you exercised your right to vote today. Senator McConnell says he supports Senate bipartisan gun bill framework. Question is, will he agree with the details of the bill and encourage its passage by guess when? July 4th. That's only a few weeks away. Finally, we're continuing to have Operation Baby Formula, where baby formula is flown into the United States from different countries. A fifth operation is planned, and more if we can fit it in. First up, I think if Stephen's on, we had some technical difficulties a little bit earlier. We'll have him do NASCAR, but I want to play a clip first so he can explain what's going on. Yay! Hey, Stephen got on. Stephen, so okay. NASCAR.
That's Todd's friend.
It is Jamie Little.
This has already been quite the celebration. And Daniel Suarez, since you won your Xfinity Series championship, it has been a long road here in the Cup Series, different teams, a lot of heartbreak. How do you put into words the race you had today in this moment standing right here?
It's crazy, Jamie. I have so many thoughts in my head right now. I mean, it's been a rough though. It's been a rough journey in the Cup Series, and these guys believe in me. Trackhouse Racing, Justin Marks, Ty Norris, everyone that helped me to get to this point. You know, a lot of people in Mexico, Jim Morales, Carlos Slim, my family, you know, they never give up on me. A lot of people did, but they didn't. So I'm very happy that we're able to make it work.
I mentioned different teams. Trackhouse, it just seemed like magic from the moment you guys started together. What has been different about this team for you?
The energy. They believe in me since day one. You know, they believe in me, and they put all the people, resources, everything to make it happen. So, look at all. We have Daniel's amigos over there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, this was a great race. It was Sonoma. It's a road course.
Stephen,
Yes, ma'am.
what was going on with Daniel Suarez? But how come this is winning?
Because it's the first time he won a race. He's
Why
been in
is
it
this
for
his
5 years,
first
and it's the first race.
I'm winning.
Because it's hard to win in NASCAR. These are the best drivers in the world, and you really have to be on top of everything, and you have to get with a good team. And this year, he's with a better team. It's a small team. It's only 2 people. It doesn't have a lot of money, but it's Ross Chastain is his teammate, and he is probably, I'm betting, probably going to win the championship. He's had such success. He's had wins. He's had top 5s. He's done so well, and he's really, really new, and he's starting to rub off on Daniel Suarez. But the most, refreshing part is he's the first Mexican to ever win in a NASCAR race at this level. It's never happened. And it's so cool because he loves America. He loves NASCAR. We've seen documentaries with him and his family. I have, and it's so nice for somebody who's really, really cool and loves everything that he's gotten since he's been in this country and loves this country that he can have success like he's having now. So it did take him a long time. It took him 5 years. Sometimes it takes people a long time to win because it's really hard to win with all these great drivers out here. But it was a road course, and everybody said he's horrible. He can't win at this race. He averages about a 30 at races like road courses like this. He's not good, and he ended up winning. And he was long odds to win. So it was nice to see somebody win that you didn't expect. And that's the thing about this next generation car. They are good for people who are rookies and been there for a couple years, because the old school guys have been there for 10, 15, 20 years. They can't adapt to anything after doing something for so long. So these cars are brand new, and the younger people are having a lot of success, which makes racing more fun because it's more competitive for everybody, even the little small teams like trackside racing that he's a part of.
Well, Stephen, what do you mean by these cars are new? These are different. What does he mean by that?
These are the next generation cars. About every 10 years, 8 years, 15 years, 12 years, every now and then they have to change the cars to meet with the times. And they took these cars and redid them. Like, instead of having sheet metal, they have a composite, and they don't break up as much when they hit the wall. They have different wheels. They have different gear shift. They have so much of it different. So much about it's different. And the younger people can handle the change more of something new, because they are more flexible than the older drivers who have gotten used to something they've had for the last 10 years plus. So it's a lot of changes to the car, and they're more safe. Every time they do a new car, or every year, they get more safe. And just a couple weeks ago, a guy just flipped a car just over and over and over again. He's fine the next day, or that day. He got out of the car. In the past, somebody might be going to the hospital. So it's safe, and racing is still fun. And every year, every couple of years, they make it a lot better and a lot more fun. This has been not the greatest year, but one of the greatest years in NASCAR.
I thought he was going to say they were electric cars or something. Okay.
It's going to come to that, because they have it in different things like Formula One or EV. I think it's called EV or E something. And they have electric cars, and it sounds really weird, like huge, like little cars that you would race with the little remote. It's like a magnified sound, and it's really pretty cool. So I can't put it down, but it might be that's the way it goes. Maybe a hybrid car or something like that. But by 2030, they're saying that's all we're going to have anyway. So, but maybe things will change before then. We don't know.
Well, if I can say.
Okay. Can you tell us what's coming up next week?
Next week is
what's coming
Father's
up next
Day.
week, Stephen?
Next Sunday is Father's Day, and these
So
drivers,
there's
most of them
no
are fathers. Yeah, so they take off, which makes it bad for us that are fathers who love to watch NASCAR. But there will be a major golf tournament this week, and that's what they do. Anytime NASCAR's off, there's going to be a major golf tournament just to keep us fat and happy.
Don't tell me, Stacy, you're going to take off on the show.
What tournament? No, what major golf tournament?
Yeah.
Which one is this? I don't know. I didn't really grab the name of it yet. It's not the Masters. I don't think it's not the PGA. It's one of them, but that's coming this weekend. So everybody will have an opportunity to enjoy sports. Like most
Maybe
NASCAR
it's
guys
the-
like golf.
the-
A lot of golf fans like NASCAR, so it kind of carries over a lot of times.
It's probably the tournament, the red coats.
I don't know. That's a good guess.
Yeah, red coats or the
So
Nazis.
So we have a comment in our chat.
It couldn't be a Guna.
Hey, Stacy, excuse me. This week it's a U.S. Open. That's what the golf tournament is, U.S. Open.
Okay, what are we doing here? Stacy is daydreaming.
Why we have all this
or...
space, Todd? This airtime. She's got too much space time. What's going on, Todd?
We can't hear you, Stacy, if you're talking.
I can't see her either.
I better do something quick because Stacy thinks we can hear her. Okay, in the meantime, because we cannot hear you, Stacy, should we move on to should we move on to
Okay, now you can hear me. This is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yay.
We'll
It's
move
that
on to
kind of night, Stacy.
politics. Can you hear me now? Let me show you the
Yes.
chat. Oh my gosh. Let me show you the chat overlay. I was talking the whole time. I was trying to get it up. The chat says, I'm waiting for it to come up. For some reason,
We
it's
don't
not
care
coming
what
up.
the chat says. We can get to the chat later.
Of course you don't. Of course you can. Keep their stuff
Todd.
now. But there seems to be a delay in
Todd.
showing things. Anyway, let's go on to COVID, and we'll get to the chat later.
Yay.
Watch this clip.
Todd kills free speech.
Well, on the pandemic front, COVID travel requirements changed today for the international passengers. Now, this brings the last. On the pandemic front, COVID travel requirements changed today for the international passengers. Now, this brings the last remaining government-issued COVID mandate to an end. ABC's Ty Hernandez has more.
As of today, international travelers will no longer need to show proof of a negative COVID test to enter the U.S. It's welcome news for the travel industry as the summer vacation season gears up.
A lot of people didn't want to travel internationally because of the testing requirement. This provides them with peace of mind so that they know when they're traveling, they can make it home.
I'm thankful that we are relaxing that. I'm vaccinated. I felt good.
Well, it wouldn't be my preference. I would prefer to have testing still.
The CDC says the requirement is no longer necessary thanks to vaccines and treatments. But still, more than 53 million eligible Americans remain unvaccinated. Young children are still not able to get vaccinated, but that could soon change. This week, the FDA and CDC are set to review data from Moderna and Pfizer on their vaccines for children under 5. If they sign off this week, vaccinations could start soon after.
Realistically, it means we could see shots in arms of kids under 5 as early as the week of June 20th.
Good news for parents anxious to get their children vaccinated, as new data reveals more than 2/3 of Americans live in a county with a high or medium COVID risk level. The country is currently seeing an average of 110,000 new cases a day. Health officials caution the actual number of cases could be higher. Many people testing at home and not reporting the results.
We will see surges this summer, and I'm especially concerned about places that have lower vaccine uptake.
A recent surge in the Northeast is beginning to ease, but Florida, Arizona, and California are now seeing a rise in the number of cases. Ty Hernandez, ABC News, New York.
Okay, so that cousin Todd. Let's start with you, Keith. I know you're happy about that, who have to travel. Happy that the parents have the opportunity to get their children shots as early as June 20th of this year, if they choose to do so. But not require that people from other countries that may not have the same capabilities or the resources that the United States has, which means they could come in with COVID. Isn't that going to cause our numbers to rise?
Well, if they were that worried
Keith,
about it, they would not. They would have already. Yeah, well, I'm answering. If they were that worried about it, they would have done something a long time ago when they allowed Mexicans to come over the border and anyone on the southern border, to just come into the country the way they have been for the past year. This has been going on since Biden's been in office. He wanted to get rid of Title 42. Remember that? And a judge stopped him. But the whole point is, so they must not have been concerned about COVID. I mean, what is this alarmist thing going on right now? And why is it that no matter whether it's summer or winter or fall, COVID is always advancing? And it seems like, it just does what it wants. I mean, there's no particular season for COVID. So, I just don't know why people are so alarmed, but, that's the way it is.
Cousin Todd.
Okay. Why they're so alarmed is because of now I don't want this word to scare you, the science. You ever heard of it? Science.
Yeah.
That's what the president is following, science. Yeah. That means doctors. And of course. See, these are radical Republicans where words like science scares them. Fake news. So they're following the science. And what is happening is these variants are continuing to come at us. And so the only thing we can do is the same thing you did, which is get vaccinated. And hopefully you got boosted. And that's all you can do. And then practice wearing your mask in buildings and supermarkets and places like that where other people are around. That's all you can do. But it's summertime, so outside you don't have to wear your mask. But when you go indoors, just be sensible. That's all. It's as simple as that. It's really not rocket science.
Well, with the mask mandate lifted on planes, Stephen, people coming from international countries that may not have had access to the vaccine, if that cause our numbers to go up, I don't understand why everyone thinks it's okay. People are on planes right now with no masks on, from the crew to the passengers. So how does it seems like this is a disaster waiting to happen, especially if you don't know someone's vaccination status that is coming from a foreign country into states.
Our government needs to do that now. They're doing that on purpose. They're letting all these people come in on purpose because they can't justify letting people coming through our southern border. As my brother Keith said, he's 100% correct. Once you let these people come through the southern border and they're not vetted, they're not checked out, they don't get any tests, and they let them in this country, it's no telling what they have. So if they can come here from 70 other countries, 100 other countries, or however many countries, then the point that you're making is moot. Because if they're flooding us from the southern border and nobody's saying a word, then what difference does it make if less people come your way that you find disgusting?
I don't know what he's talking about, but
You
anyway.
don't know that we're getting flooded through the
should-
southern border and people are going through
No,
and they're not getting
have
caught
no
and they're just
idea
coming
what
over
radical
this country and
people are
invading us
talking about.
with whatever disease they have. You don't understand
have
that,
no
Todd?
idea.
Is
No,
that too hard
I
for you
don't
to
understand, and I'll
comprehend?
tell you-
Can you not comprehend, Todd?
See, this is how he takes over the show, just talking dumb.
It's not
Don't let
dumb.
it
It's
happen,
perfect sense.
Because what happens, this
truth.
show becomes the Gong Show. Have you ever seen Jerry Springer? You're
You
looking
said
at
the
their
Gong
two
Show. I love the
favorite
Gong
guests.
Show. Yeah, Gene,
So-
the dancing
This is
machine.
Quiet. So they need to wear masks on.
Make your point and stop. Make your point. You're
Make
trying to
your voice goes in and out. Make your point and
Make it-
what?
that way.
Yeah, we wish your voice
I'm
went
trying to
in
make
and
it
out,
what
Todd.
way?
Mostly
The
out.
Gong Show? No, they're doing a great job on their own. See, Beavis and Butthead, or Dumb and Dumber. So
That's a
anyway,
good one,
they should
Todd.
wear
That's two good
masks
ones,
on the
Todd.
plane. Shh. They should wear masks on the plane. The
Wow.
idea that they don't is just ridiculous, because, like you said, nobody is giving their status. So it's dangerous. I would wear a mask on the plane. Most sensible people that I know do wear masks on planes, even though their filtration system is the best, as opposed to buses or trains or that sort of travel. That's all.
Come on, Stacy. You got to speak sharply.
Yeah, it's like she's daydreaming.
Spartan.
I was just saying, come on.
No, my connection
He's
is
saying, come
like
on.
for some reason my connection is slow. You don't see me. I'm responding really quick.
No, okay.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm responding.
Now you are right now.
I
Are you
think
in a
what ag is
bunker
going on
hiding
is
from
the
the
connection
Biden
for
administration?
some reason is slow.
You're in a bunker
okay.
hiding from the Joe Biden administration.
No.
There are
Ma'am.
people that are doing it. They've gone to their bunkers.
Honey, he steals
Rich people
government
go into their
coming
bunkers, so
in.
they say, "Oh, this is too bad. This country isn't going to hell."
They're talking over you.
Sorry, Stacey.
Keith, you don't have to laugh at everything he says, because the bottom line is this: he's not going to marry you, and polygamy is illegal in California. You don't want to go to jail.
Can't help
do
it.
you?
See, he's funny, man. You guys are funny. You guys are funny. I just.
For the first time, the national average for a gallon of regular surged to about $5 on Saturday, and that's according to AAA. The Consumer Price Index increased by 8.6%. That's the largest rise since December 1981. People are hurting, and they're waiting for a better response. For the first time, the national average for a gallon of regular surged to about $5 on Saturday, and that's according to AAA. The Consumer Price Index increased by 8.6%. That's the largest rise since December 1981. People are hurting, and they're waiting for a better response from the president. ABC's Deidre Bolton has more.
This morning, the price for a tank of regular gas is $5.01 a gallon, up 62% nationwide from this time last year. And from families to businesses, it's taking a toll.
I don't know how much longer anybody can continue doing something like this.
Some experts warning prices are likely to go higher from here, and an event like a hurricane could make things worse.
I think those would be the types of events that would get us to $6 a gallon.
The president doubling down, placing some of the blame on the war in Ukraine.
And we're trying very hard to make sure that we've significantly increased the number of barrels of oil that are being pumped out of the reserve we have.
Some small businesses like this trucking company in Texas say they're being hit especially hard.
You just have to, cut those profits, in half, just about.
With higher fuel prices and soaring inflation at 8.6%, combined with supply chain issues, even big box retailers are taking a hit.
They overordered, things were stuck on boats during the supply chain issues, and now they have a lot of extra things. Everything retailers need to do more expensive. So pretty much across the board, there's no type of business that is not being impacted by inflation right now.
According to the Wall Street Journal, Kraft informed its customers this week that prices will go up for many of its products, like Miracle Whip, Classico pasta sauce, and Maxwell House coffee. And to make up for that, shoppers say they're cutting back significantly across the budget, with the top categories including dining out and personal shopping. New Jersey mom Courtney Dunlop says she keeps a close eye on sales when going to the grocery store.
These are the kinds of deals that I have to get. Look at this. It was originally $7.99, minus $3 now. Woo-hoo, $4.99.
Okay.
Okay, so it looks as though I'm sorry that somehow there's some technical difficulty. I am moving quickly, but you're not seeing me move quick. But know that it's something going on with Restream. What I wanted to say was, I talked to a friend today, and my friend was talking about how she's going to have to go back to base is of the food that she buys. So, for instance, I made my uncle, I did apple cobbler. I went to get the pre-made pie crust, and it was $7 for two of them. It used to be like, I don't know, $3.50 for one pack. And one pack is 2 pie crusts. It's like $7. I mean, I'm thinking now I'm going to have to go back to the point where I am getting some flour. I am putting it on my counter and I start rolling dough. It's too expensive. Milk. I got like the little thing that you get in the supermarket. It was like $2. That wasn't even a pint. It wasn't a half gallon. It wasn't a gallon. It was $2. Now, am I going to have to go get the corn powder, add some water, and then have some milk? I mean, is this what inflation is coming to, Keith? I mean, this is something we all deal with every day.
Yeah, well, people like Todd and Aguna, they don't care. I mean, it's okay with them. I mean, they can handle it because, after all, they support the administration that causes all of this. And that is exactly what's going on. When Trump was in office, we didn't have this, but now we have it. So, I mean, it's quite natural to assume that all of this is Biden's watch, and yet he never gets blamed for it. He wants to blame Ukraine or the war. He wants to blame Russia. I mean, come on. So, or something like that. It's amazing that he doesn't blame the Republicans. But the point is, it is what it is. It's quite obvious to me. I don't know why, but again, Todd, he'll write it off as something else. You'll see him justify it in a few minutes. Go ahead, Todd, justify it.
Well, this is happening all over the world. It's not just here. And so when you have inflation, people blame this kind of stuff on the president, and he is the one in command right now. So I understand you blaming that on him, though he has nothing to do with it. This is not only happening here, it's happening in Europe. And so it's because this is how the world works today. We're connected. And so what happens, just like, for example, Russia, the price of food is going up for wheat. The price of wheat is going up because Ukraine can't get their wheat out. And so we're all connected. And so this inflation is temporary. This is not going to last forever. These gas prices are high.
Well, wait,
but it's high all over the world.
I don't understand what you're saying. Ukraine is unable to send their wheat products or any grain
all over the world
products out because Russia has the waterways, so they can't get it out. So most of the countries that are affected by not having the grains from Ukraine are not the United States. They're the poorer countries. So what does that relation have to do with the U.S.?
Everybody is, and it's not the poorer countries. And where do you get off saying the poorer countries? That's so American of you.
Honey,
other countries that
you can't, you try to get because you understand that is, for instance, Dubai, Qatar, They probably don't have those problems.
Ma'am.
They're not poor countries. You're going to try to turn it around and act like what's she talking about? She sounds so American. You're not responding really quickly. Go ahead, Stephen. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, well,
In his response
Biden,
is that go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, Joe Biden is responsible for everything we're going through right now. His administration. Joe Biden wanted war in Ukraine. 100%. That will come out. Joe Biden wanted war in Ukraine. And this is why he can blame Ukraine. That's why he wanted war, because he knew that his
Where are you
policies
getting that
were going to be
from?
horrible. That
Where
we were
are you
going
getting
through.
that from?
Everything we're going.
Where are you getting from?
Stacey, from
Where are you getting
common sense, and from people who are, I guess, do the investigative work. I will show you. The work is there. Keith knows it. We all know it. And Joe Biden is responsible for everything. He did all of this on purpose. His son is connected with Ukraine. They wanted them.
Well,
they wanted Ukraine to be. And he said it. Listen,
yes, the
Joe Biden said it with his own mouth. Joe Biden.
I don't even know where you're getting this. That
Joe
doesn't make any
Biden,
sense. I don't know
listen,
where
Joe
you're getting
Biden
that from.
said that it's okay if Putin invades a little bit, out of his own mouth. If he invades a little bit, we're going to be okay. We'd be okay with that.
Where did you see that? And did you send to me so that I could show it to everyone?
You've never seen that? You've never seen Joe Biden say that?
You didn't send that to me.
Okay. Well, Keith, have you seen it?
I haven't seen it.
Yes, it was before the war started.
No,
Joe
he
Biden
hasn't
said
seen it.
It's
Nobody
okay
has seen
if it's
that.
a little bit. I'm telling you the God's honest truth. I wouldn't lie to you, Stacey. And he wanted this, and this is so he can blame it on Russia, and he can blame it on
it
Putin.
says it because you are speaking to a lot of people.
And I'm telling the truth. I have no qualms because I'm 100% speaking the truth.
They think you're making it up.
Nope, I'm speaking 100% the truth, and they can look it up themselves. Yeah, this is all Joe Biden's fault. Joe Biden cut off the oil supply in this country. Joe Biden shut off oil production in this country, and that's why everything is hurting. That's why everything's hurting across the world. Because that's like Todd said, the whole world's in trouble. The whole world's hurting. You know why? Because Joe Biden. And he cut off. We were energy independent in this country. We had no problems, and the whole world was better off because we were doing well. Joe Biden cut everything off because he's a socialist hog that wants to destroy this country. So him and his elitist friends.
Okay, Stephen.
Okay, is he still talking? Is he still talking? He didn't when I left.
Yeah, because you were
tolerated. Did he just say
Joe Biden's a
hog?
talking
because you went and hid. You hid, and he's still talking.
Okay, Republicans. I'm trying to ask.
You went hiding, and
he's still saying Joe Biden.
Keith,
wait
a minute, no. Keith, how much are you paying? No, Keith, how much are you paying per?
Wait, did you correct the lie, Stacey? I know you're a Republican.
There's
but did
no
you
lies.
correct that lie and say no?
It's
Joe
all the
Biden
truth.
did not want a
It's
war.
all the truth. I swear to God, I'm telling the truth. I swear to God, strike me down. All I do is tell the truth. That's why I sleep well, Todd. I don't know how you sleep.
Stacey, the answer to your question is we're paying almost $10 a gallon. It's $9. Yes. Yes.
Liquid gold.
Yeah. $9
a gallon.
$9.
How can anybody pay $10 a gallon?
Well, we're close to it.
What a gallon? Joe Biden had nothing to do with that.
But Biden cut down the oil production in this country. He had everything to do with it. This is all Joe Biden's fault.
Why are we
cut off oil?
And why is he tapping into the reserves?
Because he wants to kill this country. The reserves are if we go to war, Keith. He is. He's got millions of barrels that he's getting from our reserves. He's still doing it.
No, he's doing
every day, Stacey. Stacey, do your research. Every day he's getting that out of the reserves. Every day he's getting millions of gallons out of our reserves. Stacey, I'm not.
Stephen, no. He's getting the reserves so the prices will go down for everybody who's getting gas.
That's not gonna work. It's not gonna.
Why isn't it?
Well, because first of all, the reserves were there for emergency, and we could have done this without going to the reserve. So why is he going to the reserve? Because he cut it off everywhere else, just like Stephen said. Why would you go into a reserve bank account if you got money saved for emergencies, and then you have to tap into the emergencies? That's because you're not having any money coming in. Nothing else is coming in. So no gas is being produced. No oil is being produced. It's not being, taken up out of the.
That's not true.
Right, Stephen?
That's not true.
It's so clear. It's so clear.
I've got Stephen on mute so people could hear because Stephen was starting to talk.
Oh, okay. Well, it's so
I
clear,
put him on
Stacey,
mute.
but anyway, I know you guys won't believe it, but I hope some people have common sense and they would understand that. There's no reason to go into the reserves at all unless you are not producing any outside of it. Simple as that. Right, Todd?
Well, we weren't
Whatever.
producing enough, and find some sort of way to lower the price. Oh, now you want to come back?
Look at Stephen. What did he say?
Because when I came back and I was making a statement, you put me on mute. So whatever. I can't deal with a bunch of Republicans. Maybe you didn't hear me. You're
not on mute.
No, you're messing up.
I don't have
you're
a phone.
Lagging. And
I'm not messing up.
You're lagging.
It's Restream. It's me that does it. It's not me.
Okay. I want
it's
to
not
move
me. It's
on.
the company.
Is that possible?
So do you want to comment before I move on? Okay.
No, I do not. I do not want to fight with these
just
radicals
tell us why
anymore.
The president, key president is using
why the
reserve
president?
fuel for no reason. He's using our reserves of oil for no reason, using it to lower the cost of gas at the pump.
That's exactly right.
And yet they're going up.
But these radicals, they have no idea what they're talking about. They stay on the dark web, and that's where they get their information. It has nothing to do with facts. For example, these people think Donald Trump won the election. Need I say more? Moving on.
Well, Stacey, if that's true, why hasn't the prices gone down? Why haven't the prices gone down? Why haven't
because
the prices
he's just starting it and it has to start flowing. He's just starting to open it up. He has to open it up little by just pour something into society like that. Can't flood it.
He's been tapping into the reserves since the beginning of this year. He's already been tapping into reserves after he.
Maybe these people think that you can start drilling for oil and you'll have your oil by tomorrow.
No, it takes a little time. We've already shut.
That's not the case.
It takes time.
So that's just dumb.
It takes a little time.
But you don't know any better.
If he hadn't shut it off, we wouldn't be having $10 gas if he didn't shut it off.
If he hadn't shut it off,
it's Joe Biden's fault.
What did he shut off?
He shut off the spigot. He shut off the oil. He shut off the fracking. Off the federal land that they were doing. They were going the ocean. Everything they were doing, they cut off. Joe Biden cut everything. Joe Biden ran. If you don't, Stacey, Todd, the fact that he was going to cut energy production in this country and go to windmills and flatulence from people who eat too many beans. He said he was going to kill the oil industry.
So
he said he was going to kill the coal industry.
Joe
Biden said he was going to kill these industries.
He said he was going to kill it.
I want to share this article with you all. It's about how to protect your money, how to be financially responsible if we go into a let me my screen so that you can see what you can do. They say one thing they say is one thing they say is to,
Who cares
if
what
you have
they
a job,
say? We know how to.
stay in that job or go into a job to lock in your
Oh my gosh.
money. So let me share my
Hey,
screen.
there's
No,
a good.
don't. Please
So you
don't.
can
I'm
see.
Hey,
gonna
there's a
get a little
Guna, guys.
vodka.
There's a Guna. All right.
Right on time.
All right.
There we go.
Yay.
All
Yeah,
right.
good.
So
About time you got here. You run a little late.
Hey, some of us have a life.
Hey, God bless you for that. You won't always. One day you'll be old like me.
all right.
Yeah.
So do you
Yeah.
No time soon.
see the
Yeah, no
article?
time soon. You got that right.
Like a flash, just like
I don't
that.
see it, Stacey.
Just like that.
It says
I wasn't born in the 60s.
this is CNN.
I was born in the
Are
summer
falling
of
and
love.
prices are skyrocketing. Protect your money. I'm going to mute you all. Do you see the article or not?
I don't see it.
We don't see the
No,
article.
we
We hear
don't
you,
see it.
though. We hear you loud and
Glad
clear,
to hear
though.
you finally. I'm
No.
looking.
Oh, now you hear me loud and clear.
Yes.
All right.
We hear you. We
see
do
the
not see
article
the article. No, we
now?
don't. Let's move on.
We got inflation. Who here likes inflation?
I do.
Yeah.
Right, but I
Well,
want to
This
talk
show
about
is
how to
going
protect your
nowhere
money.
fast.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh
Todd,
my
move
God.
on. You know, he doesn't want to make a point. He doesn't want to learn anything.
Todd, the
And
topic is
Todd,
inflation. What's the flip side of inflation? What's
it's
going on?
Todd's
going
a bad
nowhere
kid in
fast.
school that keeps
He
all of
hit
us from
nowhere
learning.
fast, Todd.
Shh. It's too many talking at the same time. What I was saying is you can't get this article up. We've been trying for
on.
5 minutes. The article, it's not coming up. So
Go
the
ahead
next
then.
topic,
Move on. Move on.
Okay, the next topic we'll discuss is Donald Trump.
What have we done? Or are we done with inflation? We didn't talk about how to protect your money. I thought we were going to talk about that.
You know what you do? You light your cigars with $100 bills. It's over, Johnny. It's over, Johnny.
He's making
I
fun
thought
of you,
our
Stacey.
viewers would like to know. I thought our viewers want a new job. They cash in on the housing boom. They say home loans lock in fixed rates. Don't get a flexible arm for your mortgage if you buy a home. They cover your near-term cash needs. Having liquid assets to cover you in an emergency or a severe market downturn is always good. They also credit cards minimize the bite. If you're carrying balances on your credit cards which typically have high variable interest rates, consider transferring them to a zero-rate balance transfer card that locks in a zero rate for between 12 and 21 months. That'll insulate you from fluctuations and rate hikes over the next year and a half. If you have a portfolio, Cousin Todd, rebalance it. If you have high tolerance for risk and when the stocks are soaring, but you may not be able to stomach when the stocks are not soaring, like right now, like yesterday. Figure out what it means to you to lose money. What does lose money to you mean? If you're keeping your money in a savings account or CD, any interest you are earning is likely being outpaced by inflation. So while you preserve your principal, you lose buying power over time. So do your best, stay cool, and then let go. As I would add, let God. So this was a CNN business article by Jeannie Shahadi. It was written Monday, June 13, 2022 at 9:49 a.m. A good talk about the serious crash or the dark day that we had yesterday. Because these people act like, move on to Trump. I just want to talk about Trump. You got to think about your future.
You're tied to President Trump. And this is something that impacts everyday people, everyone, right? So when you have rising gas prices, when you have rising cost of goods and services, it's going to hit you right there real fast. So the article is spot on. The flip side of inflation is we don't like the prices of goods and services going up, but we do like the prices of our homes going up, right? So our homes, under inflation, you have skyrocketing, home values. And what you got, and that's funny money. So you got to be careful with that. But what you can do is you can borrow against the value of your home and consolidate debt, maybe reinvest in like expanding your deck or something like that, which will increase the value of your home even more. So the article is spot on in the sense of you need to save more. You need to have more cash on hand. You may want to limit your retirement contributions in the near term, just because that, again, the stock market is very volatile. It's going to level out though. What's happening in the last couple of days is that speculators are panicking because of the interest rate hike that's coming up. So what does that mean to everyday people? That means that, people won't be able to borrow as much. Corporations won't be able to borrow as much. They're going to have to try to slow down their growth. And so when that happens, and if we go into a recession, that may mean layoffs, that may mean cuts at some point. But at the same time, U.S. is the number one economy in the world. So these companies aren't going to, calm down, Todd, wait a minute. So ultimately, these companies are not going to sacrifice their profits in the long term. They may do a knee-jerk reaction in the short term, which is what you got to weather if in the next couple of months. But at the end of the day, you need to consolidate your debt. Again, U.S., as Americans, we are so used to debt that we're comfortable with it. We think that debt is something that we should always live with or always have, when it's not, right? And when the interest rates go up, our debt, interest on credit cards go up. So we get hit not only at the grocery store, we get hit with the interest rates accruing on our debt. Now, the flip side of this also is the very low unemployment rate. So when unemployment rate is so low that companies have to pay more for workers in certain fields, they trickle down that expense to consumers and other services, right? So so part of it is the fact that we don't have enough migration into the country to accommodate the low unemployment or the service gaps or the wage gaps or the labor gap, if you would, in the market right now. So again, there's so many different aspects of it. It's not like the Fed can just raise interest rates and then voila, everything goes away. You still have to save money. We still have to lower interest rates. If you can get by with one car versus two, do that. If you could work from home versus commuting, do that. There are different options that people have to take in order to, accommodate the fact that we have supply chain issues, labor shortages, as well as rising cost of goods and services.
Thank you. Now, Keith had mentioned earlier before you got on, Aguna, that Biden was wrong to open the oil reserves because that's not going to necessarily help, and he felt it's all Biden's fault. I had said that Biden had, he's begging, he's going to go to Saudi Arabia for some oil after Yates was mad at Saudi Arabia for killing that journalist, the American.
So Stacey, you're compounding a bunch of different issues. You're compounding a bunch of different issues. And I know Keith has for months had this fictitious idea that somehow we were energy independent when it comes to oil under Trump. And now, we're somehow not energy independent anymore. Again, I will say this again, okay? There is no way. First thing, what we have, and I want all our listeners to hear this, okay? The U.S. is the number one of the top exporters of oil, all our viewers. We are one of the top exporters of oil. We are also one of the top importers or consumers of oil. So nobody on this show can tell me right now how you force U.S. oil companies to sell oil cheaply domestically and not enter the global market and make more profits. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to be able to force companies to sell domestically cheaply because we're on a global economy. So therefore, even if you open up the oil reserves, even if you give them more permits and licensings to drill, all they're going to do is take that oil and sell it on the world stage for a record profits. You can't force them unless you want to regulate and be a socialist country or put an embargo against U.S. oil companies from selling overseas, which, by the way, Obama lifted. So they were going to export this oil anyway. Couple that with supply chain issues, couple that with all these other things that are going on. You can't force oil companies to sell domestically if they can make more money elsewhere. It's just not going to happen. Nobody on the show can tell me how you're going to do that without becoming a socialist country. Okay, so
and let me say this so that they can understand gouging. For example, when we were in the pandemic,
right,
and you could not find alcohol or products like that, they would hike up the prices of alcohol and stuff like that, and you just paid it.
There's no incentive for oil companies to lower the prices of gas, knowing that you guys are going to pay for it anyway. Now, I do agree with Keith that Biden opening up the reserves doesn't really do anything. I mean, at the end of the day, they're going to slow walk the supply in order to make profits, because the oil companies figure, hey, you know what? We don't have to drill more. They have reserves that they can bring into the market now, but you guys are paying for the gas anyway. So why should we hurry up and supply more oil when we're making record profits? Because you guys are going to gripe about it. You're going to complain about it. You're going to blame Joe Biden about it. But at the end of the day, you're going to swipe your card and you're going to get that gas at the pump, no matter how high those prices are. Keith, you're on mute. Use technology.
So that's my thing.
I'm sorry if it's over your head. I'm sorry if facts are over your head, but I'm sorry. I'm an economist. I don't know what you are, other than a survivalist in your basement.
I didn't put you on mute.
What is he saying
on mute, Keith.
Okay, Aguna.
I don't know what he's saying, but don't make it up.
Off of mute.
I wanted to ask Aguna something. I wanted to say,
sure.
Well, it seems that
I welcome it.
Yeah, okay, because CNN, I have the report and I send it to Stacy, but I can't read it to you now because
What is your question? Talk to me. What is your concern, Keith?
Question is, CNN gave out a report and said that the oil companies don't set the prices. Is that true?
The oil companies don't set the prices.
Right. It's the gas stations and all of those. They're the ones that set the prices. The companies that own the gas stations. Not the oil
I think they
company.
said
No, listen, if you don't understand, if you understand economics,
the refinery. But the refinery
the
is
oil
setting
companies,
prices.
the market sets the price. The oil companies don't set the price, the market does. The demand does, okay? So if there's a higher demand overseas where the oil companies can supply that, they're going to sell. If you can sell oil, you can sell gas in Europe for $10 a gallon or sell it $5 a gallon here in the US. Which one, if you're an oil company, what would you do?
Well, first of all, Los Angeles and California, we pay a higher price than anybody in the country because of our tax. It's taxed higher. And as we get a different texture of gasoline, California is really high.
Well, local governments can decide to waive the tax if they want to. That's up to the local government.
But the Democrats have said no. The Republicans tried to do that.
Again, you're trying to scapegoat, and again, that's your agenda. But at the end of the day, the price of gas, for the most part, that tax has always been there. Right? But the global market sets the price of gas. So you're sitting here saying CNN says the gas station set the price. It's a trickle down effect based on the global economy. And right now there's a war in Russia, right? Then you have Europe, which is in high demand for gas, right? And then you have China, you have India. So you have these different, demand economies that are demanding more energy. And if you look at places like Saudi Arabia, Dubai, these countries export oil, but they don't import oil. They're trying to go green within Dubai so they won't have to get high off their own supply. They're smart like that. We, on the other hand, in the United States, think that energy independence somehow means oil.
Right.
You're saying the market determines it. California pays a much higher rate than anybody else. Is that the market controlling it, or is that California legislature controlling it?
So let me ask you something. How much is the gas tax in California?
Oh, I think about 51 cents.
Okay, so let's say California says we're going to eliminate that gas tax. How much would you be paying at the pump?
probably half the price that we pay now, which is about $9.
Wait a minute. Wait, you just said it was 50 cents. You
50
just said it was 50 cents, and you're
the
paying
gas
over $6 a gallon. How is it half the price just
He said
because you
he's
cut the
paying $9
tax?
a gallon. He said he's
Oh, you're paying $9.
$9. Yeah,
So you're paying $9 a gallon,
He's actually
and
said
you're saying the
$10,
tax
but
is
now
50
it just
cents.
changed. Bye-bye.
yeah, he can't.
Again, you're
figure
trying
out.
to blame the government but you don't even know the percentage of the gas tax that you're paying right now.
51%.
And it's perfectly, the California legislator, do you know what the gas tax goes towards? What does the gas tax go towards?
We're paying 51 cents on a gallon. That's what I said, on a gallon of gas.
Okay, so you're saying if you eliminate 51 cents on a gallon, somehow that 51 cents will cut your $9 a gallon gas bill in half? I don't understand that math. That's Keith trying to form a narrative math.
I know exactly how much it'll cut it down because there are other taxes, but it certainly will cut it down quite a bit. Let's put it that way.
Well, here's the thing. What if you cut that down by eliminating those taxes? Are you willing to go without those services that the government provides? Are you willing to do that?
Yeah, because the government provides. The government doesn't really.
So, Keith, in order to have a logical argument here, you need to tell me what that gas tax goes towards. And if you're willing as a California resident to go without that for a certain amount of time, then it makes logical sense to cut the taxes. Other states are doing that. Maryland did a gas, a tax-free holiday on gas. I think they did it for a month or a weekend or something like that. States can do that if the citizenry puts the pressure on to do that, but you have to be willing to accommodate that in goods and services. That may mean you have to cut funding to the police because you're doing that gas tax cut. So if you're willing to do that, so be it.
Has nothing to do with the police. But I would certainly.
But again, what does that tax go towards then? Tell me what the tax goes towards. You can't tell me what the tax goes towards, but you're saying it's nothing to do with the police.
That's a very good question, sir. I like that question. I'll try to look into that, okay?
Okay.
I will.
But there's 50 cents on a gallon doesn't equate to $6 off that price. And again, it's set by the global market. Okay, there's no incentive for an oil company to continue to drill.
The refineries come in.
And there's the oil brokers. There's the oil brokers that are in between. They're hedging their bet. There's the refineries. There's the gas stations. There's the truckers. There's the
they're trying to get their money.
The shipping. They're all the supply chain issues that they can slow walk and get record profits from.
So it's not just the company, the gas company.
Listen.
It's not just the oil
what
company.
President Biden today. Let's hear what President
one said it
Biden
was.
today said about inflation.
Under my plan for the economy, we made extraordinary progress. And we put America in a position to tackle a worldwide problem that's worse everywhere but here: inflation. It's sapping the strength of a lot of families. I grew up in a household not far from here, Claymont and Wilmington, where the price of a gallon of gasoline went up. Was a conversation at the dinner table. It mattered. It mattered to my working family. It mattered if the price of food went up. The problem is, Republicans in Congress are doing everything they can to stop my plans to bring down costs on ordinary families. That's why my plan is not finished and why the results aren't finished either. Jobs are back, but prices are still too high. COVID is down, but gas prices are up. Our work isn't done in the economy. My plan is simple. First, I'm doing everything in my power to blunt Putin's gas price hike. Just since he invaded Ukraine, it's gone up $1.74 a gallon because of nothing else but that. So I have a plan to bring down the cost of gas and food. It's going to take time, but let the world coordinate the largest release, what I've been able to do, the largest release of oil from the global fund in history. 1 million barrels a day, and 240 million barrels to boost global supply while I convinced other nations to join us, to keep prices from rising even more. Second, we're to work, bring down gas and food prices. We can save families money in other items. We can change the dynamic of middle-class families. Look, give them a little breathing room, my dad said. You heard me say that before, but imagine what most middle-class and working-class families do is they look at that monthly bill they have on everything. The rent or the mortgage, the cost of maintaining the car, the food, everything. So if portions of that go up, one of the ways to deal with inflation for families is bring the other costs down. For example, 200,000 people with type 1 diabetes are paying up to $1,000 a month for insulin. We can make sure they pay no more than $35 a month. By that, and by the way, drug companies will still do very well. It'll cost them $10 to develop that insulin. So they're making 3.5 times their cost. My plan gives Medicare the power to negotiate with the pharmaceutical companies, just like the Veterans Administration does. Look, I believe in bipartisanship, but I have no illusions about this Republican Party, the MAGA Party. I've been able to bring some Republicans along on parts of my plan. But the fact is, Republicans in Congress are still in the grip of the ultra-MAGA agenda. They still refuse to consider changing any part of the Trump tax cuts, which delivered massive windfalls to billionaires and others, and they weren't paid for. They still refuse to consider a minimum corporate tax of 15% minimum tax. They seem to think that the problem in America today is that working families aren't paying enough. Congressional Republican Senator Rick Scott of Florida, as my mother would say, God love him, he laid out a plan. I think you have it in your desks. I just took one page of that plan. Okay, this is published. It says this is just one of their ideas. All federal legislation sunsets in 5 years. If the law is worth keeping, Congress could pass it again. Now, guess what that is? Social Security. Not a joke. Social Security. Medicare. Medicaid. That's not a joke. Every 5 years it'll be put on the chopping block. Every 5 years. And if it's not reinstated by a vote in the Senate of a 60 or more, guess what? It automatically has got existence. That's what they're proposing. Unless the Congress affirmatively votes that bring them back into existence. Think about that. Social Security, you paid for your whole life. Medicare, Medicaid, not a joke. Really ask yourself, how are you going to sleep at night knowing that every 5 years, Ted Cruz and the other ultra-MAGA Republicans are going to vote on whether you'll have Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid? It's unlikely.
So, okay, we'll start with you, Keith. I mean,
I don't have a problem with that.
Keith, you're retired, right?
Yeah.
Keith?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. If you don't have Social Security and your favorite politician from Texas, Ted Cruz, vote you don't to have it, is that right for him to do?
Well, it is not right for him to do. And I would have to ask you the question, or anybody on this show, when has he ever said that he would do that? When has he or any other Republican said that they would eliminate Social Security altogether? When has that ever occurred? You know, I really don't understand where this guy is going here, because he's saying that they're willing to cut it. Or, I mean, who's willing to cut it? I mean, in fact, they're
Republicans.
Well, wait a minute. Let me just finish saying they can't do that because they're adding to it. They're talking about making illegal aliens a part of Social Security, and they haven't even lived in the country. So they're talking about. So how can they be talking about cutting Social Security at the same time? I mean, he never mentions that, and nobody ever said.
You're conflating issues, but I was with you for a second, but then you went off the deep end.
No, it is absolutely true. And I bet Stephen.
I mean,
So we're
you're
running out of time,
conflating
so we gotta
issues.
sum it up.
Let me also say this.
We're running out of time. You have to sum it
Let
up.
me just, I'll
Okay,
sum
make it
up.
quick.
Aguna says that the market determines the price of gas. Well, if that's the case, what's the federal government doing involved in the free market? How is the federal government going to allow the market to determine anything?
Don't answer
when
that.
You
Biden-
tell me. You tell me. You're telling me that you're going to force oil companies to sell domestically. How are you going to do that without having the federal government involved?
Don't answer
Because
that.
remember, it was the federal
answer that.
government
Go
that
ahead,
allowed
Cousin Todd.
oil companies to sell
Cousin
overseas. So what are you talking about?
Muted
Reading
Stephen.
comprehension,
Todd.
Keith. Read what
So-
you're saying. Comprehend what you're saying.
Cousin
Tell
Todd.
Stephen.
Start talking, Todd.
If Aguna can,
Why is he
you
not
can't-
talking?
that-
He's just looking at him. He's just looking at him like he's at a tennis match.
I don't know what Keith is
Okay, you
talking
want me to
about. If
talk
Keith,
over
if
them? Is that what you want me
if
to do?
Keith
Like
can't
Joe?
understand that the market, that's a basic economic principle.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay, now you muted them.
Now, Dum
Thank
Dum.
you.
Go ahead, Dum
That-
Dum.
You won't be able to hear me. I'm not going to waste myself when that's going on. Now, I think you want me to not comment on this, what Keith just said. You want me to comment on what Joe Biden was saying. That's
Yes,
a good
but
idea.
you
For
can
example,
comment
he
on
talked
Keith.
about, for example, Joe Biden was talking about the cost of insulin. And ever since he got in office, he wanted to lower the cost of prescription drugs. The Republicans have been fighting him the whole time. For people to pay that much, $1,000 a month for insulin, when insulin has been around for over 50 years, it's way too high, and the government should be able to negotiate those prices down. It's just a basic common sense. And then Keith is shaking his head no, because Keith doesn't have diabetes, and Keith doesn't need that medication. That's
Keith
why he can
says
shake
he
his head
doesn't. He's
no.
not a free market guy. Keith isn't a free market
And
guy because
so-
he says the market doesn't set
But
prices.
what happens is these Republicans, they're so two-faced. Unless it happens to them, they're not interested and they can't relate to it. For example, remember they were against gay marriage and gays in the military? Dick Cheney, for one, until his daughter turned up gay. Now he's at every gay wedding in town and he's all for gays in the military. It's ridiculous. Same thing with Ronald Reagan. They were against stem cell research until, of course, he got Alzheimer's. And then Nancy Reagan was all for stem cell research. Unless it happens to them, they cannot.
Are you talking
relate.
Joe Biden?
And-
Biden has Alzheimer's.
You see how
Anyway,
dumb?
I
Keith,
gotta move
Keith,
on.
that's not
So,
showing
Todd,
up
you
on
can't
camera,
talk.
Keith. You need a better prop. Use a
You can't
magic
talk
marker.
the whole show, Cousin Todd.
Bring it down some.
So did you
Oh
want to
my
sum up your
gosh.
point? Did you want to sum up your point?
I've made my
I can
point
see it.
already. But
Thank
you
you.
got
So
this
if you
peanut
listen to
gallery.
go ahead, Stephen. Go ahead.
Stephen, real quick before I go into Aguna and we move on, we have on.
All of a sudden, now we wasted all that time with nonsense. and
Question,
now we're
Stacey.
gonna
Hopefully, I
speed through
can
the
hear you.
show.
I've not been hearing anybody very well. I mean,
You need to
That's
come out the
because you
basement.
have the Obama phone and Obama
No,
computer.
he's in that separatist basement. You need to come up out. The government is tapping into your Wi-Fi.
All
What
right,
in the
let
world?
me
So,
let me
Stacey,
move
real
on. We don't
quick,
have much time, so I've got to cover this.
real quick, Stacey. I don't
Just say
necessarily
this.
disagree
Let me say
with
this,
Tim Scott.
Aguna.
I can't hear you. They're filtering out the lies. Why don't you use sign language? See, they disrupt you when you don't say facts. Look, I was just going to say.
January 6th was the culmination of an attempted coup.
Can y'all hear me? Give me a thumbs up.
They obviously were influencing a lot of people, members of the public, that there was this systemic corruption in the system and that their votes didn't count and that these machines controlled by somebody else were actually determining it, which was complete nonsense. And it was being laid out there. And I told them that it was crazy stuff and they were wasting their time on that.
I respect Attorney General Barr. So I accepted what he was saying.
Donald Trump and his advisors knew that he had in fact lost the election. But despite this, President Trump engaged in a massive effort to spread false and fraudulent information to convince huge portions of the U.S. population that fraud had stolen the election from him. This was not true.
What I saw was just a war scene. It was something like I'd seen out of the movies. I couldn't believe my eyes. And I saw friends with blood all over their faces. I was slipping in people's blood. You know, I was catching people as they fell. It was carnage. It was chaos.
I know why I was there, and that's because he called me there and he laid out what is happening in our government.
Trump has only asked me for two things. He asked me for my vote, and he asked me to come on January 6th.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, check out these other videos from USA Today to stay up to date with all the latest news.
And he asked you for your money.
Okay. Right. And so we just found out because of January 6th. This is for you, Stephen. Stephen, can you hear me? Stephen, can you hear me?
No, he put himself
The
on
FBI
freeze
got him. The FBI got him finally. The FBI or CIA.
Okay.
Stephen, can you hear me? All right. So this is for you, Aguna.
Yes.
Aguna, the January 6th committee.
I can hear you.
They've postponed. Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you now. Wackadoo.
They have postponed the hearing for Thursday because they're having technical difficulties. But Chairman Benny Thompson from Mississippi stated that he did not believe he had the power to refer anyone to Department of Justice for criminal charges. Congresswoman Cheney from Wyoming said that the power to refer people for criminal charges. That is the divide within that committee, because the chairman isn't sure, but a participant congressperson is. Will they refer President Trump for charges for insurrection against the United States? Stephen. All right, Aguna.
Yeah, I think that's the balance. That's the case that they're building. And part of it isn't just for the insurrection itself. It's what he did as a result of peddling the fact
whole
that
hearing.
he had
They
this
knew
election fraud. So he raised over $200 some odd million off a lie. And he knew it was a lie. Everybody around him was saying that there's no evidence of election fraud. Yet he used it to raise money from a lot of yahoos out there who wanted to believe it. And you see what happened. He just used it to raise money and enrich himself because he knows by nature his supporters want to believe him and they want to be, they're sore losers. So they didn't like the fact that they lost the election. No evidence of widespread voter fraud or anything like that, but he used it to raise money. And he knowingly used it to raise money, knowing that it was a lie and knowing that people would be misled. And that's the funny thing about it. And they lay it out pretty good. And there are going to be people on this show that are going to be like, well, consider the source. They didn't do this. But you better believe if the Democrats had done the same thing, everybody on, they'd be flying at the hinges about, the insurrection and all of this and Benghazi and Hunter Biden's laptop and all these other things. But what you have here is an attack on democracy. So as Americans, we should be like, look, let's hold these people accountable. Let's figure out how this thing won't happen again. But if you look at what happened, this is authoritarianism. He's using the fact of a lie to raise money and to enrich himself. He gets his followers to run in there and try to disrupt the certification of the electorate of the elections. And then he was trying to get Mike Pence to get out of the Capitol so he can declare martial law. And so it would go to the House to determine whether or not, he was president or not. At the time, you had a lot of Republicans in the House. So it was a coup in real time. And so we all should be scared about this. But again, there are going to be people who want to believe that this didn't happen, whitewash it, and that somehow they were taking a tour. So
all right.
Go from there.
So Keith, I'm sure that you disagree with that, but President Trump invited them down to protest, correct? And
yes,
when he had opportunities and was told by his staff to tell people to leave, he did not, correct?
I don't know about that, but I know he did say go peaceably. He told them to go peaceably, and yet they leave that soundbite out. But I wanted to say also,
okay, so
there's a lot of text messages that said he didn't do anything.
Do you have that soundbite that I gave you? Most likely you don't, huh?
I don't have the soundbite.
We're not cherry picking your sound bites, Keith. You got to make a point, a logical point. Stop cherry picking stuff.
Are you going to let him talk, or are you going to mute him?
I was trying to share. I was trying to share the article that Stephen had given me, and then I was having problems with Restream sharing that. Remember, I was trying to share my screen, or did you give me that article? But go ahead. Tell us your point.
Well, anyway, a woman had been indicted. A woman was arrested and confessed that she was involved in a cover-up for ballot harvesting. Through ballot harvesting, she had been doing some illegal stuff during the election. So that's all I could say. I'd like to see the video. I'd like you guys to see it, but it wouldn't matter even if you saw it. I know that, because it doesn't matter to you no matter what. So by now, even if the evidence comes out, and when it comes out, it was in a movie, a documentary done by Dinesh D'Souza. You never saw the movie, I'll bet. And if you did, you still wouldn't believe it, because you can't see the truth, because you've already rejected it, just as you rejected God. So
vice versa.
All right. So, all right, we're running out of time. I want to sum this up and do our round table.
That was way over my head.
Let's do our round table specifically on gun legislation.
Stacey, can you tell Keith? Can Keith give us the woman's name? This hypothetical woman. What was her name?
I can't recall. I don't have it.
Yeah, because it's a lie. Okay, it's a lie. Because if you knew the woman's name, you would be able to say it. Let's stop with this nonsense. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it, Keith. Stop it.
Send it to him.
After a weekend of deadly gun violence,
It wouldn't make any difference to you anyway, even if I did show it.
Keith, no, come prepared next time. Don't blame it on me that you're not prepared.
After a weekend of deadly gun violence, not just here.
I am totally prepared.
You keep starting this clip and stopping.
To play our
After
clip.
a weekend of deadly gun violence, not just here in South Carolina, but across the country. And after a weekend of deadly gun violence, not just here in South Carolina, but across the country, lawmakers in Washington are expressing some cautious optimism that a deal to address the situation may be near. Here's Skylar Henry.
Don't look away! Don't look away! The group Students Demand Action wore bulletproof vests as they stood outside the Capitol building, demanding lawmakers address gun violence in the U.S.
We should not have to crawl and hide under our desk and tables.
Pressure in Washington has been mounting following a series of high-profile mass shootings in New York and Texas. And since Friday, at least 17 people died and dozens injured across the nation due to gun violence.
How many more children in schools? How many more police officers? How many more acts of senseless mass shootings? I don't know what will get a yes in Congress.
A bipartisan group of senators is working on legislation that they hope to have done this week. It includes enhanced background checks, new incentives for states with red flag laws, and investments in school safety and mental health.
Perfect bills exist only in our imagination. And we have to be realistic about what can pass.
I'm hopeful, but I've been down this road before, and hope's dashed.
Democratic lawmakers in New York aren't waiting for Congress.
Thoughts and prayers won't fix this, but taking strong action will.
Governor Kathy Hochul signed into law a series of bills, one which raises the age to buy semi-automatic rifles from 18 to 21. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Washington.
So this will be our roundtable. So we'll start with Keith, then Stephen, then Aguna, then this gun legislation that is proposed by, it'll pass the House, but it's going to be proposed. The framework has been proposed by the Senate, and they've had 10 Democratic senators and 10 Republican senators who said they are interested in signing on so they can avoid the filibuster. However, this is just the framework. They don't know what's in it. They're saying, I don't know if I'm going to sign this because I don't know what's in it. So my first question, or part A of the question, Keith, I want to make sure you hear me because you always say you don't know what I said. Part A of the question is making sure they raise the age. Will that make a difference? And then 2, having a cool off it. Will that make a difference in whether or not these mass shootings will occur in the cities like in Buffalo and Uvalde, Texas?
Well, the answer to both of those questions is no, it will not make a difference, because of the age between 18 and 21 is really not much difference as far as maturity goes. We all should know that. I mean, when I was 18 years old, I was not that much more mature by the time I was 21. So, I mean, you know, talking about a level of maturity, 18 to 21, are you kidding me? They're still kids as far as I'm concerned at 21. You know, a man doesn't learn to really be what he ought to be until he gets into his maybe 30s, late 30s, and maybe 40s. I'm just learning about my calling in life. But anyway, aside from that, I would say that, you know, guns, you know, this whole issue on guns, gun control, man, this is my baby. I mean, I understand about the right to self-defense. That is the number one issue. It is not really about guns. Guns don't, because whether you have a gun or a knife, if you're a killer, if you decide to hurt somebody, you can hurt them. You can hurt them with a car. You can hurt them with a hammer. You can hurt them with a wrench. You can hurt them with a screwdriver. You can hurt them with a machete.
You can't hurt 20 of them in 3 minutes.
And you can do that with any type of weapon. So the Second Amendment,
you can walk and chew gum,
right to all weapons, not just arms means weapons. It doesn't mean.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Stephen.
I'll continue to say it.
Thank you, Stephen.
Uh-oh. The FBI still has him on quarantine down there. They're censoring you.
Take yourself off of
He's blaming Hunter Biden. He's blaming Hunter Biden, and he's saying that there's a conspiracy. Someone's trying to take his gun.
Okay. Okay, move on.
So,
okay, go ahead, Aguna.
I was just going to say, I mean, we can walk and chew gum.
Steven.
There's nothing wrong with having a debate and having a cool-off period. I mean, look, let's do something. Let's figure something out. It's not going to be a silver bullet to stop everything, but at least you're acting. At least you're trying to come up with some solutions.
But Aguna, when you say that,
here saying, hey, we're not going to do anything.
Aguna, when you say that, if that shooter from Uvalde would have had a few days before he could get that gun, maybe, and would have been 21, maybe that wouldn't have happened to all those school children.
Absolutely. That's why I think it's okay to talk about this.
Buffalo. But in
Same thing.
Buffalo,
And
the
you can do a
shooter,
background
but
check
in
and you
Buffalo,
can
the
see if there's
shooter
any criminal.
planned this. Yeah, but he planned this. And then they said
Right.
one more thing with this gun law possibly is making sure that family members weigh in on whether or not someone could get a gun. What if the family member doesn't even know to weigh in on it? That they're trying, whether the family member doesn't know they're trying to get the gun.
Yeah,
They
I
can't weigh
mean,
in on it.
there's nothing wrong with having the debate and putting some checks and balances in place. It's not going to take away anyone's guns. Law-abiding citizens will always be able to get guns, right? And the truth of the matter is, you should act and do something. The fact that you're going to sit here and say, hey, let's not do anything, or any type of compromise is somehow an infringement on my rights. And you see, just to let you know, Stephen, we can't read that. So you're wasting your time. I think my son writes better than that. Nah, it's not helping. Anyway, the idea that you can't even have a debate around gun control without people getting offended and thinking that somehow you're going to take away my rights is ridiculous. It says in the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia. Doesn't that, who's regulated by who? By who? What are you talking about? Who's regulating? Oh, the government. Okay, so when we talk about even having any type of controls, it's not infringing. It's actually making sure that law-abiding gun owners are being, aren't being infringed upon by, because criminals are going to do criminal things regardless. They're not going to follow the law. We get that. But at the same time, we shouldn't make it easy for them. We shouldn't make it, if we flood everyone with guns, everybody had a gun. It's just going to create another air of bureaucracy when the police, because let's listen to what the police are saying. I mean, you just had the legislation passed in Ohio, which allows, teachers or people in school or school employees to carry guns. And the police officers were against it. So we have people on this show that want to talk about law and order and towing the blue line, but you don't listen to the police when it comes to things that they actually care about and they're actually giving advice on. You only want to cherry pick when it comes to supporting the police. And they're saying you're making our job easier by injecting more guns to the situation. Because we're going to come in there, we're going to take everybody out and ask questions later.
Okay, thank you. Cousin Todd.
Okay.
Stephen, we still can't read that,
These
man. What are you
gun
doing, man?
laws,
You might as well, like Nickelodeon.
well,
That's a
I
sketch.
can read that.
I can't.
read
I
it.
couldn't read it.
Well, I did. It says, Keith, I'm in love with you, and will you marry me, please? Now, these gun laws, it's a smart thing to do to wait until they're 21 to be able to buy a gun. Not even an assault rifle, but a gun. Children should not be able to buy guns. Now,
yeah, but
I've
Todd, if
also
children
said-
can fight for our country and die for our country at 18,
I was just about to say that. Yeah. I was just about to talk about that. Children should never be allowed to go to war. Now, mind you, I've said this 1,000 times. Children between the ages of 18 and 21 should not. You have to be over 21 to go to war. Now, we're just used
That's
to
not
this
the law.
barbaric.
That's not the United States.
Hey, slow down.
It goes
Slow
through
down.
8 weeks of
This
basic
is
training.
Barbaric. It is barbaric to send children to war. Now, you're just used to it because that's what you people do. But it is wrong. It has always been wrong. They're not even mature enough. They're not even developed. So
you better be glad
they
kids went to war in Second World War. You couldn't be here. And
listen, you didn't go to war.
I
As
think-
a matter of fact, you are a draft dodger because you are old, 70-something years old. And during that time, they were drafting people. And so I don't know how you
Well, I
avoided
think
the
military
draft.
service is
Either
an
you went to
exemption. I think
Canada-
that's an exemption to allow 18-year-olds to carry weapons. That's more of an
All right,
exemption than it
excuse
should be the norm.
Okay, let me
We gotta
just
finish this
this
out of
because
time.
this is crucial, and Stacy wants to move on because she's a Republican. Children should never been forced to go to war. You should be 21. That's sending a child, an immature, undeveloped child, to a war. That has always been wrong.
Okay, you've already.
You should have to
Well,
be
we never
over
had, we didn't have a standing army at the time. So there was
How
the
many
draft.
times are you going to repeat that?
Those are, if you would shut up, I could finish this. And he keeps trying to debate me on it. Those are excuses. You shouldn't have never been able to do that. 21 should be the age. Now, rational, sensible, intelligent people who aren't brainwashed or just used to it.
If that was the case during World War II, we would be divided in half. Half of the country would be belong to Japan. The other half would be under control of Nazi Germany right now.
So
thank you.
Okay.
First of all, we would not.
You want to talk about this?
We would. I mean, we had to have the draft.
Warriors Celtic playoff.
21.
You want to talk about the Warriors Celtic playoff, Aguna?
No, ma'am. We're out of time.
It's going to be interesting to see.
We'll revisit it next week.
I'm looking forward to Game 6. It seems like every game is up for grabs. Just when you think Boston was going to take control of the series, the Warriors came and stepped up, and Iguodala is coming back, and so it's going to be a good series. I'm looking forward. I'm going to watch. I hadn't watched all the games. I'm going to watch Game 6 because I think this is a pivotal game on Thursday that will determine. I'm thinking that Boston may take it and force a 7-game series. It seems like, I don't know, some of these sports series are panning out to be more dramatic than ever. So it may be in the cards for it to go to 7 games just so it's more for more ratings purposes. So looking forward to it.
I think the 6th game will be interesting too, and I think the Flyers will probably win, and they probably will get like 30 touchdowns.
We're going off.
Okay, thank you. I hate this music, but we're not finished yet.
I still can't read. I still can't read that. I still can't read it. It says 7.
Why did you play the music, Stacey?
Happy birthday, Stephen.
Aguna to stop talking. It's not his birthday. To our first responders in our communities, you make our lives livable.
He's a Gemini.
Thank you.
He was proposing
to our women
to
and men
again
of the U.S. military for all that you do in sacrificing your lives so that we are free to say whatever we choose on this show. We are forever indebted. On behalf of Aguna, the Nigerian,
get a magic marker. Get a dark permanent marker. Get a permanent marker.
The constitutional conservative.
One of these. I can't read that.
The independent thinker.
And the non-writer. The non-writer.
Independent thinker. He just wants to get
married. And my cousin
desperately.
Todd. I'm Stacey Johnson. Let's keep this conversation
with the
going.
Perm and the beard, Todd. I see you with the perm and the beard.
Check us out on the Flow Television Network. Check us out on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Like and subscribe. We'll see you next week with everyone maybe on their best behavior. Good night.
Maybe. Get that fixed, Stephen. What's wrong with your mic? Come on now.